Pokemon has come a long way over the last 20 years. It went from being an obscure Japanese-only release to an absolute sensation globally in Pokemon Red and Blue. In fact, it went on to go into the Guinness Book of World Records and was under the best-selling RPG of all time. The games would be later re-released on the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console. The gameplay revolved around the player using his or her Pokemon to battle other Pokemon in the world. It was one of the first games to take on a Zelda-like top-down approach and allow players to go around the world collecting Pokemon of their choice, training them, and then using them to battle. For those familiar with the anime series, you played as Ash Ketchum as he went around with his favourite Pokemon Pikachu, battling other characters and generally just being a badass in the Pokemon world, fighting other gym trainers and expanding his Pokemon collection so that he could one day be the greatest Pokemon trainer. Pokemon were caught by throwing a Pokeball. If the Pokemon is successfully caught, it comes under the player's ownership. Factors in the success rate of capture included the HP of the target Pokemon and the type of Pokeball used. The lower the target's HP and the stronger the Pokeball, the higher the success rate of capture. The ultimate goal of the game was to complete the entries in the Pokédex, a comprehensive Pokemon encyclopedia, by capturing, evolving, and trading to obtain all 151 creatures. Now obviously this was the original lineup of Pokemon, and this has been greatly expanded over the years. Pokemon Red and Blue allowed players to trade Pokemon between two cartridges via a Game Link cable. This was the only way you could actually complete the Pokédex, and was a real Japanese style of play that the Western market wasn't really used to. In true Nintendo fan fashion though, players found a way of joining up with friends across the country and across the world to actually complete their collections. The setting for Pokemon Red and Blue takes place in the region of Kanto. This is one distinct region shown in later games, with different geographical habitats for the 151 existing Pokemon species, along with human-populated towns and cities, and routes connecting locations with one another. Some areas are only accessible once the player learns a special ability or gains a special item. Areas in which the player can catch Pokemon range from caves to the sea, where the kinds of Pokemon available to catch vary. For example, Tentacle can only be caught either through fishing or when the player is in a body of water, while Zubat can only be caught in a cave. Players absolutely loved the ability to play as their favourite characters, journeying through a land they were familiar with from the anime series. For anyone ancient like myself, you'll remember the Tamagotchis that were around at the same time and were so popular. I feel that Pokemon really caught people's hearts and minds in the same way the Tamagotchis did when they were released from Japan. But really, I think everyone just wanted to be Ash Ketchum and be the very best and train every Pokemon they possibly could. Plus, Pikachu was super cute. Everyone loves Pikachu. The original idea behind the Pokemon saga stems from the hobby of insect collecting, a popular pastime which game designer Satoshi Tajiri enjoyed himself as a child while growing up. However, he observed more urbanization taking place in the town where he lived, and as a result, the insect population began to decline. Tajiri noticed that kids now played in their homes instead of outside, and he came up with the idea for a video game containing creatures that resembled insects called Pokemon. He thought kids could relate with the Pokemon by individually naming them and then controlling them to represent fear and anger as a good way of relieving stress. However, Pokemon never bleed nor die in battle, only faint. This was a very touchy subject to Tajiri, as he didn't want to further fill the gaming world with pointless violence. And in many ways, that's what we loved about Pokemon. It was harmless, it was fun, and it was entertaining. And it was something you could come to and just relax and enjoy collecting new creatures without having to worry about the real-world violence that really was going on at the time. Fast forward now 20 years, and we have Pokemon coming up on the Switch. I think for many of us, we would really like to see a reimagining of the original ideas that Satoshi came up with, and perhaps holding true to those ideals from the original. I would personally love to see a free-roaming, open-world environment that takes cues from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is not to say that I would like a clone of that game, but a more updated and lush environment, especially from the most recent Pokemon games. They're just a little bit too generic and a little too formulaic for my liking. While the environments created were lovely and enjoyable, they felt very superficial. It would be fantastic to have an environment that actually reflected what the player was doing, perhaps taking on a more complex mechanic. Imagine a faction system similar to the Fallout games, where your actions actually had an effect on the different gyms and trainers in the different areas. Perhaps you could join Team Rocket and actually become a bad guy, having either positive or negative choices which impacted the world in some way. If it hadn't been such an amazing year for the Nintendo Switch, with games like Zelda and Mario, I would think that these requests were probably far too much to ask. But actually, do you know what? I think Nintendo can do it. What would you love to see in the new Pokemon games? Pop down in the comments and let me know. If there's one thing I've learnt about Nintendo this year, it's that they read these comments, they look online, they're actually listening now. So it would be fantastic for you guys to get your say and tell Nintendo exactly what you would love to see in the new Pokemon games. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening guys. I'm SwitchUp. If you enjoyed what you heard or what you saw, then please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one.